Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that your mind is no longer your enemy. Your heart still beats, your thoughts still come and go, but the constant fear, the tight chest, the racing thoughts, the endless what-ifs no longer controls your life. Anxiety hasn't vanished overnight, but it has lost its power over you. This book is about how that transformation happens. In 10 Times Calmer, clinical psychologist Dr. Kirren Schnack shows that anxiety is not a life sentence. It is a system, and once you understand that system, you can change it. This is not about quick fixes or pretending anxiety doesn't exist. It's about learning how anxiety really works, why it keeps coming back, and how to gently but firmly take your life back. Setting the foundation. Dr. Kirren Schnack begins by reassuring the reader of something many people struggling with anxiety desperately need to hear. Recovery is possible. Anxiety affects hundreds of millions of people worldwide, yet the vast majority never receive effective help. Waiting lists are long, services are overstretched, and many people are left trying to cope alone. This book exists to bridge that gap. 10 Times Calmer is designed like a clinical journey. The structure mirrors how anxiety is treated in therapy, but adapted so you can apply the strategies yourself. Anxiety may show up as general worry, panic, health anxiety, or social anxiety, but beneath these forms are shared patterns. When you learn how these patterns operate, you can interrupt them. Dr. Schnack emphasizes that progress is not linear. Setbacks are normal. Recovery does not mean never feeling anxious again. It means no longer being controlled by anxiety. The work in this book is finite, manageable, and grounded in decades of clinical experience and evidence-based psychology. Before the 10 core chapters begin, she highlights the importance of basic mental health foundations: sleep, diet, movement, enjoyable activities, and human connection. These are not side notes. They are the soil in which recovery grows. You don't need perfection. You need consistency and compassion. Chapter 1. Understanding your anxiety. The foundation of overcoming anxiety is understanding what it actually is and, more importantly, how it works. Many people experiencing anxiety believe something is fundamentally wrong with them. They worry that their thoughts are irrational, their physical sensations are dangerous, or that they're somehow losing control. Dr. Kirren Schnack makes it clear that anxiety is not a personal failure. It is a system designed to protect you, one that has simply become overactive. Anxiety is a natural emotional, psychological, and physical response that evolved to keep humans alive. When genuine danger appears, anxiety prepares the body for action by increasing heart rate, sharpening attention, and releasing stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. This is the fight, flight, or freeze response. The problem arises when this response is triggered repeatedly in situations where there is no real danger, or when it fails to switch off once the perceived threat has passed. Dr. Schnack explains the brain's fear circuitry in simple terms. Sensory information from your environment and from within your body passes through a structure called the thalamus, which acts as a relay station. This information is then sent to the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. The amygdala's job is not to think logically, but to react quickly. If it detects a possible threat, it activates the stress response instantly, often before conscious reasoning has a chance to intervene. This means anxiety can be triggered not only by real external dangers, but also by thoughts, memories, bodily sensations, or even specific words. Simply imagining a feared scenario can activate the same physiological response as actual danger. This is why anxiety can feel so real and so convincing, even when you logically know that nothing bad is happening. Anxiety affects 3 interconnected areas: the body, the mind, and behavior. Physically, it can create sensations such as a racing heart, dizziness, breathlessness, nausea, or muscle tension. Psychologically, it fuels catastrophic thoughts, fear-based images, and a sense of impending danger. Behaviorally, it leads to actions like avoidance, checking, reassurance-seeking, and withdrawal from situations that feel unsafe. These 3 areas feed into each other, creating self-perpetuating cycles. A sensation triggers a fearful thought. The thought increases fear. Fear intensifies the sensation. The person reacts by checking or avoiding, which temporarily reduces anxiety, but teaches the brain that the threat was real. Over time, these cycles become automatic. Dr. Schnack also distinguishes between triggers and causes. Triggers are things that spike anxiety in the moment, such as bodily sensations, news stories, social situations, or specific places. Causes are broader factors like temperament, childhood experiences, trauma, personality traits, or major life changes. While understanding causes can be helpful, lasting recovery comes from changing the patterns that maintain anxiety in the present. The key message of this chapter is reassurance through clarity. Anxiety feels chaotic when it is misunderstood. Once you understand how it operates, it becomes less mysterious and less frightening. Knowledge creates distance, and that distance is the first step toward change. Chapter 2, Acceptance. Stop fighting anxiety. One of the most counterintuitive lessons in anxiety recovery is that fighting anxiety usually makes it stronger. Most people instinctively try to push anxious thoughts away, suppress sensations, or eliminate fear entirely. While this reaction makes sense, Dr. Schnack explains that resistance actually signals danger to the brain, reinforcing anxiety rather than reducing it. Acceptance does not mean giving up or resigning yourself to a life ruled by anxiety. It means allowing anxious thoughts and sensations to exist without treating them as threats. When anxiety is met with panic, urgency, or constant monitoring, the brain learns that anxiety itself is dangerous. Acceptance interrupts this learning process. Many people struggling with anxiety spend large amounts of time scanning their bodies for symptoms, checking their thoughts for danger, and seeking reassurance from others or professionals. These behaviors provide short-term relief, but they strengthen anxiety in the long term by reinforcing the idea that something must be wrong. Dr. Schnack encourages a shift in approach. Instead of trying to control anxiety, allow it to rise and fall naturally. Anxiety sensations, no matter how uncomfortable, are not harmful. When you stop reacting to them as emergencies, the nervous system begins to calm on its own. Acceptance also reduces fear of fear. Many people are not just anxious about situations, but anxious about becoming anxious. By allowing anxiety to be present without resistance, you build trust in your ability to tolerate discomfort. Over time, anxiety loses its intensity and duration. This approach requires patience and practice. At first, acceptance may feel uncomfortable or even frightening, but gradually, it creates space between you and anxiety. Instead of organizing your life around avoiding fear, you begin to organize it around living fully, even with discomfort present. Chapter 3. Calming your nervous system. Chronic anxiety places the nervous system under constant strain. Even during moments of calm, the body may remain tense, alert, and on edge. This prolonged stress drains energy, affects sleep, and lowers resilience, making anxiety easier to trigger. In this chapter, Dr. Schnack focuses on activating the body's relaxation response, which counterbalances the stress response. The relaxation response is not something you force. It is something you invite by sending signals of safety to the brain. Breathing plays a central role in this process. Anxiety often disrupts breathing patterns, leading to shallow, rapid breaths that maintain a state of alarm. By slowing the breath, lengthening the exhale, and breathing more deeply into the body, you communicate calm to the nervous system. Grounding exercises are another important tool. These techniques anchor attention in the present moment using the senses, helping to reduce rumination and interrupt anxious spirals. Body-based strategies, such as progressive muscle relaxation and gentle movement, also help release built-up tension. Dr. Schnack emphasizes consistency over intensity. These techniques are not emergency tools used only during panic. Practiced regularly, they lower baseline anxiety and increase the body's capacity to recover from stress. Over time, the nervous system becomes less reactive and more balanced. The goal is not to eliminate all stress, but to restore flexibility. A calm nervous system makes every other anxiety strategy more effective. Chapter 4. Managing Anxious Thoughts. Anxious thoughts are one of the most distressing aspects of anxiety. They feel urgent, convincing, and often catastrophic. Dr. Schnack explains that anxious thinking is not rational problem-solving. It is threat-focused thinking designed to detect danger. This chapter explores common thinking patterns that fuel anxiety, such as catastrophizing, all-or-nothing thinking, overgeneralizing, mind-reading, fortune-telling, exaggeration, and filtering out positive information. These patterns distort reality and increase fear. A critical insight in this chapter is that thoughts are not facts. Anxiety thrives when thoughts are treated as truths that require immediate action. When you engage with every anxious thought, argue with it, or try to disprove it, you keep anxiety active. Instead, Dr. Schnack encourages a change in relationship with thoughts. The goal is to notice thoughts without automatically believing or obeying them. Labeling thoughts as anxious predictions rather than realities creates distance and reduces their emotional impact. Another major theme is the belief that anxiety is protective. Many people believe that worrying prevents bad things from happening or keeps them prepared. While this belief feels reassuring, it traps people in constant fear and undermines confidence. By practicing balanced thinking and disengaging from mental debates, anxious thoughts lose their authority. They may still appear, but they no longer control behavior. Chapter 5. Shifting Attention. Anxiety powerfully shapes attention. When fear is activated, attention narrows and locks onto perceived threats. This is useful in real danger, but harmful when anxiety is unfounded. In this chapter, Dr. Schnack explains how hyper-focused attention amplifies anxiety. When attention is fixed on bodily sensations, thoughts, or feared situations, these experiences intensify. The more you monitor them, the more alarming they feel. Shifting attention is a skill that weakens this cycle. By deliberately broadening focus and engaging with the external world, you reduce the brain's emphasis on threat. This might involve noticing sounds, colors, movement, or actively participating in tasks that require concentration. Attention training helps break the feedback loop between thoughts and sensations. It teaches the brain that it does not need to stay locked on a fear in order to stay safe. With practice, attention becomes more flexible. Anxiety loses its dominance, not because it disappears, but because it no longer commands all of your mental space. Chapter 6. Regulating Emotions. Anxiety does not exist only in thoughts or physical sensations. It is deeply emotional. Fear, dread, frustration, shame, and helplessness often surge together, creating an emotional intensity that feels overwhelming. Many people respond to these emotions by trying to suppress them, escape them, or make them stop as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, this reaction tends to strengthen anxiety rather than reduce it. Dr. Schnack explains that emotions are not threats. They are signals generated by the brain to communicate information. Anxiety-related emotions feel intense because they are tied to the fear system, but intensity does not equal danger. When emotions are treated as intolerable or unacceptable, the nervous system remains on high alert. A key concept in this chapter is emotional regulation. Regulation does not mean eliminating emotions. It means responding to them in a way that prevents escalation. When anxiety triggers fear, the body reacts with more fear, creating an emotional feedback loop. Learning to regulate emotions breaks this loop. One of the first skills involves naming emotions accurately. Simply identifying what you are feeling, fear, sadness, frustration, anger, helps reduce confusion and creates psychological distance. When emotions are unnamed, they often feel larger and more threatening. Self-soothing strategies are another core element. These might include calming touch, gentle movement, reassuring inner dialogue, or sensory comfort, such as warmth or music. These signals tell the nervous system that it is safe to stand down. Dr. Schnack also addresses distress tolerance, the ability to sit with uncomfortable emotions without acting on them. Anxiety convinces people that discomfort must be escaped immediately. Building tolerance teaches the brain that emotions rise and fall on their own. Over time, emotional regulation restores confidence. You begin to trust that you can handle strong feelings without being overwhelmed. This trust weakens anxiety at its core. Chapter 7. Learning to live with uncertainty. At the heart of many anxiety disorders lies a deep discomfort with uncertainty. Anxiety thrives on unanswered questions, unknown outcomes, and lack of control. The mind searches relentlessly for certainty, believing that knowing for sure will bring safety. Dr. Schnack makes it clear that certainty is an illusion. Life is inherently uncertain, and attempts to eliminate uncertainty only make anxiety worse. Reassurance-seeking, checking behaviors, and excessive planning may reduce anxiety briefly, but they reinforce the belief that uncertainty is dangerous. This chapter focuses on increasing tolerance for uncertainty. Instead of trying to eliminate doubt, you practice allowing it. This may involve resisting the urge to check, not seeking reassurance, or letting questions remain unanswered. Initially, allowing uncertainty can feel extremely uncomfortable. Anxiety may spike as the brain protests the loss of control. However, with repetition, the nervous system learns that uncertainty is survivable. Dr. Schnack emphasizes that living well does not require certainty. Confidence grows not from knowing what will happen, but from trusting your ability to cope with whatever happens. As tolerance increases, anxiety loses one of its main fuel sources. The need to control, predict, and prepare excessively begins to loosen its grip. Chapter 8. Overcoming avoidance. Avoidance is one of anxiety's most powerful maintaining factors. Avoiding feared situations provides immediate relief, which teaches the brain that avoidance equals safety. Over time, the range of avoided situations grows, and life becomes increasingly restricted. Dr. Schnack explains that avoidance prevents the brain from learning an essential lesson, that feared situations are not actually dangerous. Every time avoidance occurs, anxiety remains unchallenged. This chapter introduces the principle of gradual exposure. Exposure means deliberately and repeatedly entering feared situations without engaging in safety behaviors. This is done in small, manageable steps rather than all at once. The goal of exposure is not to force anxiety away, but to stay present until anxiety naturally decreases. Through repetition, the brain learns that fear rises and falls without catastrophe. Safety behaviors, such as carrying reassurance items, excessive monitoring, or distraction, are addressed as subtle forms of avoidance. While they seem helpful, they prevent full learning. As exposure progresses, confidence grows. Situations that once felt unbearable become manageable. Life slowly expands, and anxiety loses its dominance. Chapter 9. Anxiety and Trauma. Traumatic experiences can significantly shape how anxiety is experienced. Trauma sensitizes the nervous system, leaving it stuck in a state of high alert even when danger has passed. This can cause anxiety to feel constant, intense, and unpredictable. Dr. Schnack explains that trauma affects how safety and threat are perceived. The brain becomes hypervigilant, scanning constantly for danger. Ordinary sensations or situations may trigger fear because they resemble past experiences. This chapter focuses on restoring a sense of safety in the present. Grounding techniques help anchor attention in the here and now, reminding the nervous system that the traumatic event is over. Regulating the nervous system is essential for trauma-related anxiety. Gentle body-based practices, predictable routines, and compassionate self-talk help rebuild stability. Importantly, healing does not require reliving traumatic experiences repeatedly. Recovery comes from helping the nervous system relearn safety and control. With patience and appropriate strategies, anxiety shaped by trauma can soften. The nervous system gradually regains balance, and fear no longer dominates daily life. Chapter 10. Maintaining Progress and Preventing Setbacks. The final chapter focuses on sustaining recovery and protecting progress over time. Anxiety may return during periods of stress, but this does not mean failure. Setbacks are a normal part of long-term change. Dr. Schnack emphasizes early response. Recognizing the first signs of anxiety and applying skills early prevents escalation. Ignoring anxiety or reacting with panic gives it momentum. Maintaining progress also involves continuing healthy routines, emotional regulation, and exposure to challenges. Avoidance may reappear subtly, so ongoing awareness is important. Self-compassion plays a central role in preventing relapse. Harsh self-criticism increases stress and vulnerability to anxiety. Kindness supports resilience. Finally, this chapter encourages rebuilding life beyond anxiety. As fear loosens its grip, space opens for enjoyment, meaning, and connection. Recovery is not just about reducing anxiety, but about living fully again. Anxiety may still visit from time to time, but it no longer controls direction. With the tools learned, calm becomes something you return to again and again. 10 Times Calmer is ultimately a story of empowerment. Anxiety may feel powerful, but it is not stronger than understanding, practice, and self-compassion. With patience and persistence, calm becomes not just possible, but sustainable.